Good morning. It is Saturday morning. Nice and early stream. I'm going to go see Wonder Woman this afternoon, so that's why I'm going to do the stream first thing in the morning. First, I want to apologize that Thursdays has not gone up yet. I've had an issue with the exporting into YouTube, so it will be up today. So I've actually have it being exported right now, sending it over. Today, I am hopefully going to finish the last two t-shirt quilts that I have in that 7 quilt commission, because on my schedule next Wednesday I've got a stream scheduled to pin everything. So I've got to finish the quilts, and then I've got to cut the backings, and then next Wednesday you can see me pin everything. So I'll do that live on Twitch. I think that's all of the business stuff. So yeah, so I'll get to sewing. In order to save a little bit of time, I did cut some of the strips out, and I already pinned the center blocks. So for both of the quilts that I'm trying to get finished today, the center blocks are pinned. Sorry, I'm getting rid of all this lovely cat hair. My cat jumped on the ironing board today, and I don't want any cat hair on my stuff. All right. So let's put that there. So I have all of these centers. So I label, for those, if you haven't seen any of the t-shirt quilt streams I've done before, I label all of my blocks with a letter. So this one is D2. So this is the 4th row center block. I'm making quilts just like the picture that's over onto the left. So a 3x4 layout. It's just a lap size quilt. So D2 is on the bottom. So these are all of my 2s. These are all of my center blocks. I have the sashing on the left and the right. And then I will sew the sashing on. And then add on, let's make sure, yep. And then add on the left and the right. Like I said, my hope is to get the last 2 finished. This one is quilt number 7. So after this I only have one more. My hope is to get the tops finished. If I don't finish them on the stream, then I'll finish them up tonight off camera after we come back from seeing Wonder Woman, which I'm excited about seeing. And because I have the sashing on the right and the left, whenever you sew it, just pick it up, flip it over. And this one has both of them, so you know what, I'm going to switch these because this one's getting low. Whenever I'm ironing it, what I'm doing, and I'll show you in here, is I want to try to use the fabric itself as a stabilizer. So what I do is I iron the seams this way. So I'll actually do it on the back side, because on t-shirts with the design, sometimes they're in vinyl. So it's hard to iron on the top side. In this case, it wouldn't make a difference because it's a regular just work shirt. But it's always better to err on the side of caution. So I'm actually doing it on the back side. And then I'll flip it around. So this is now what my backside looks like. So I've got my seams ironed in. And that just gives it just a little bit more stabilization. Now, if you don't like those seams, if they don't lay down quite as nice, you can then iron just those seams. Make sure you try not to iron the actual front if it has a design. And I just realized I have no water in my iron. I need some steam. Alright, I am going to fill up my water. I will be right back. Isn't that be right back thing cool? My little card to fill in. I am finally getting a handle on this this Twitch thing with all of the streaming components, all of the layout components, the graphics. Slowly getting there, but I'm getting there. And like I mentioned in my last stream, I am able to live stream from my camera. So I'm super excited about that. Sorry, there's some hair on this one. Just making sure I can get it off. So I may do 1 or 2 live streams from AwesomeCon to do it as a test, just to make sure everything's working. So they won't be too long, maybe 10-minute streams. I'll probably go around to some of my favorite artists, my favorite people, and show some of their stuff. And then, oops, there we go. And then for Too Many Games, if that works fine, if I don't have any issues, for Too Many Games, I will live stream our setup. So you can actually see how my big metal monstrosity is built. Move these over. Okay, here's D3. And this one is D1. Yes. Let's make sure I'm putting it on correctly, because I always make sure, even though there's no design on this one, there's a reason I had it this way. So I always want to make sure that I look at my letter and number. So my D2 is facing up in here. So my D1 is facing up. So that's the way that I want it to go. Now, t-shirts are very stretchy. So you can stretch them, you can move them. So I always, for the t-shirts, I always pin the corners first, and then I go through and make sure that I adjust the t-shirt so there's no folds, there's no lumps, there's nothing like that. Okay, and then spin this around so I can pin the other side. Now in this case, this tops t-shirt is has a little leeway, so it's got some little puckers in it. So I'm just pulling the bottom fabric, stretching it until this top one lays nicely, and then put a bunch of pins in it. Okay, so this is row D, is all pinned and ready to go. So I'm going to set row D off to the side. So I can work on row C next. Now, the nice thing about these commissions for the t-shirt quilts is I was given a lot of leeway with how big the panels were going to be, with the designs, a lot of the layouts, things like that. So I tried a lot of things that I haven't done before. So I actually put a bunch of polo shirts into it. So I glued the buttons closed so it won't open in the middle of the shirt, and then it'll be sealed so it's not going to have a problem. It'll be sewn. I also, as you see with this one, played with a couple of jerseys. So I was able to figure out some materials and some things that I haven't been able to do before, which I love because it's going to enable me to do a lot more with my t-shirt quilts. Alright, so again, I am flipping it onto the back whenever I'm ironing it, and I'm ironing the seams towards the t-shirts. So I'm going to iron the back first. And then I will flip it over and just reinforce that seam. Oh yeah, much better now that I have steam. So here is my row C. And then there's the back of my row C with the seams. So you see the seams are pointing towards the t-shirt. If they were pointing away, you would see the seam like this. So it would actually come this way. So let me trim my edges. It's funny, whenever I talk to people for the first time, and this reminded me because I had this conversation last night. I talked to people the first time, like, oh, hey, so what do you do for a living? And I say, oh, I'm a professional video game comic book quilter. Every time they look at me and they go, a what? This is C3. Now, in this case, the nice thing about these t-shirts, and I'll actually hold it up so you can see this a little bit better, is that we had a limited amount of t-shirts to work with. So this is actually the back of a Batman t-shirt, and this right here is the inside logo. So if they had, because we ran out of t-shirts to use, but there were still people to give these gifts to. So we came up with the idea of, okay, well, let's just use the fronts of the backs. Well, some of the backs don't have that. They're regular hang tags, and I didn't... In the future, I may try sewing those hang tags down if someone else wants to do this in the future. But for this one, I knew I was taking, not risks, I was figuring out a bunch of new things with these t-shirts, so I didn't want to add an extra new thing onto it. So I just cut it below the hang tag. But if it was printed, if it actually had the printed on there for the hang tags, I made sure that I included it. Okay, 2, 3. I was just making sure that I did it in the right direction, and I did. So this should be C1. And I'm actually going to move D over here. Oop. This one's curling a little bit, so I'm actually going to iron it. Get it to lay down a little bit. If it doesn't iron nicely, then I will start to... Oh, no. It's fine. There's a lot... Whenever I don't use stabilizer, there's a lot of extra ironing, starch, things like that. If it curls, it's fine, as long as I can roll it out. No, this up so you can see it a little bit better. See, it's rolling, so I'm just going to smooth it down and still find that corner. And then put my pin in there, and then the pin holds it down. And then whenever I'm sewing it this side up to make sure that I capture the entire t-shirt. Okay, now let's stretch this out. Let's roll it down and pin that center one. Now because this is it's rolled and it wants to escape, I'm actually adding a whole bunch of extra pins in here. You can never have too many pins. You can have too little. It doesn't hold it nicely. But you can never have too many. Here we are. And there's C. Okay. Let's free row B. Now, unlike if you watch some of the other videos, whenever I do traditional piecing. Oh, hi, Insurgian. Yes, this is a live stream. So feel free to ask any questions. Although I do upload all of my videos to YouTube the next day. So that's why I do lots of explaining and things even if no one's asking questions. So on my traditional piecing, I normally chain, get all the sewing done, get all the ironing done, get all the pinning done. For t-shirt quilts, I found it's easier to just do one row at a time. Now, I've gotten to the end of this jersey. There is a lip right here where it actually is 3 times as thick. So when you get to an area that's super, super thick like that, no matter what you're sewing, if it's quilting, cosplay, whatever, slow down a little bit because you want to make sure that A, you capture it all, and B, the seams are good. So I'm looking to make sure that it went down, it went through all the way, and it did. So it's fine. Oh, no, it's funny because I teach a bunch of kids classes at the local family center by me, and they freak out whenever I teach them because I get my hands into the machines and I actually put my hands this close to the machine, and I tell them, ignore my hands, don't worry about it, I'm smoothing and moving. I know where my hands are in relation to this needle because I've been doing it so long and so much, I won't sew it, and you won't sew it. Although, I did sew my finger one time 4 years ago, and that was a learning experience, but it was on my embroidery machine. So I was smoothing the embroidery. It's when I was just learning how to do embroidery. I was smoothing it, and my husband texted me, so I went to look at the phone, and my hand was still doing this by the machine, and yeah, sure enough. And it wouldn't have been that bad if I didn't knee-jerk reaction, so the needle shattered in my finger. Yeah, that was a fun time. Alright, so again, when you're ironing, iron from the back. Now, in this case, this is going to be a little different. So in this case, this extra fabric right here is actually forcing the shirt, the jersey, towards the fabric. If that happens, don't force it. You go ahead and iron it towards the fabric. It's fine. Yeah, the needle shattered into my finger. So I had to go to the emergency room. I got most of it out, but then I had to go into the emergency room. Whoops. I have an area right here I need to resew. So I noticed the thread. I wonder if you can see it up on the camera. So I have, yeah, you can. This area right here actually has no stitches in it. It's just a long line of thread. So if that happens, just resew it. Put it back in the machine and redo it. And I'm doing it from the back side to make sure that I get it and I capture it. Oh, there it goes. Now it did it. Alright. So yeah, when I pulled it, the needle itself shattered, and I got most of it out, but I was afraid that there were little pieces of metal in my finger. So I went to the emergency room, and they x-rayed it, and yep, sure enough, there were little pieces of metal in my finger. So I have a picture of me laying on a hospital bed. It was actually this finger with my finger out like this and the doctor digging into my finger and to try to actually pull it all out. And it was the end of the day for St. Joe's, which is they have certain hours. It's not like a regular hospital. So all of the doctors that were finished for their rounds actually came and started talking to my doctor that was doing this. And they're like, oh, hey, you almost got it. It's almost there. Get it out. No, I can't. I actually can't. I need you for the apocalypse. Yeah, I did. I drank a lot that night. No, I can't sew clothing. I suck at clothing. Now, I have friends that chainmail. So they would be fantastic for the apocalypse. They could make our armor. But I suck at clothing. Because quilting is all straight lines, and you don't have to worry about moving and bunching. Clothing is a lot of adjusting, moving, bunching, figuring. Yeah, I haven't figured any of that out. It was funny, the needle and the finger memory came up on Facebook a few days ago, and I'm like, hey, it's been 4 years, look at that. Okay, so this is row B, this is B3, so I'm going to pop that over there. This one should be B1, it is, so I will pop this over here. And it's, yep, right, it's correct in the way it goes. So on my stream, I stream whenever I quilt. This right here, these t-shirt quilts, are actually, these are a group of 7 commissions that I have for t-shirt quilts. The next one, sometime when I get back from AwesomeCon and Too Many Games, I will do a stream after I get the other t-shirt quilt done. That's my other commission. I'll do a stream on the anxiety blanket because I did take a commission for one. If you look at my commission list, that is on there. So I'm planning on doing that either right after AwesomeCon Too Many Games, or there's a possibility, and I actually am having a meeting about it today, I may add a last minute convention to my lineup. I may be going to Heroes and Villains in Nashville. And if that happens, I will do that anxiety blanket right after Heroes and Villains. And then I will work on some pieced quilts right after Too Many Games. Okay, did I do... Yep, I did both sides of that one. So I take the pins out. Alright, and I'm ironing on the back side. Now this one is just a regular old t-shirt, so I can iron the seams toward the shirt. Oh, I hate it when I do that. I miss the seam. So, this is my favorite thing in my studio is my seam ripper. So I'm going to seam rip out the area that sewed the fold over. I don't know how I missed that. There we go. And then I'm going to sew it on the side that I can see to make sure I gather that t-shirt in there. Let's lay all that out. Alright, and I'm just going to go ahead. Thank you. It's, there are some people that watch me on a regular basis in the evenings during the week that have no clue how to quilt and sew, but after watching me, they're like, hey, I think I could figure this out after a while. Alright, so I redid the seam, so now you can see it's sewn, and it's no longer puckered. Alright, so, and then I figure those out when I do my ironing. A lot of times if you miss a seam, you don't see until you get to the ironing stage. So make sure you inspect your seams for that, no matter what you're sewing. Because if you don't have a complete seam, it may fall apart. And especially in cosplay or sewing, you don't want your thing to fall apart. Would not, well, if it's cosplay, depending upon what you cosplay. Some things people may want to fall apart. Yeah, some of the past streams this week I've done, I'm also a pattern maker, so I do video game, comic book, quilt patterns. So I was working on the next 2 patterns in my series, which are a Loki-inspired quilt and a Triforce. Alright, here's another t-shirt. One of my favorite t-shirt companies, T-Turtle. So there's another t-shirt where this was the backing, so I wanted to make sure that because the label was printed right in there, that I included it. And then that way whoever that they gift this t-shirt quilt to can say, oh, that was the front of that t-shirt. It was a T-Turtle shirt. Go. Alright, now in this case, the top, the t-shirt is puckering again. So I'm just stretching this bottom fabric and laying it out. There we go, until it's all nice and smooth, and then putting my pins in. Okay, let's flip it around and do the other side. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's whenever I talk to people at comic book and video game conventions and they take my little flyer and they say, you stream on Twitch? What games do you play? It's like, well, I do play a lot of games, but I don't stream the games. I stream my quilting and my sewing. And especially whenever someone commissions me quilts, sometimes they want to watch me actually make them and see them. And this way they can. Alright, this one is being stubborn. There we are. So I'm going to put some extra pins in it because it wants to roll up on me and it's being stubborn. Mostly iPad and iPhone games, like the mini games, things like that. Console games. I don't have time for console. Oh, I've been playing a lot of Jackbox, because, you know, Jackbox. We play Tricky Towers. Lots of group games. Because it seems like the only time I can play console is at conventions or with a group of people. Because if I'm not with friends or at a convention, I'm sewing. So I like to watch a lot of Twitch to understand some other games and see how the storylines are. Although, I am looking forward to Splatoon 2. So we picked up the Switch. And that's supposed to come out later on in the summer. I have Mario Kart, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Hopefully, at one of these next few conventions I do, I can play it. Now this t-shirt is being a pain. So I'm actually trying to stretch it and move it as it goes into the sewing machine. That way I don't get puckers. Because I'm not using stabilizer, it's really easy to get puckers inside the quilt. I'm going to make sure that my seams are good. Yep, they're good. Yeah, I'm very busy. I travel a lot and go all over. I don't do anything, a lot of things that's not related to sewing or quilting because of that. But it keeps me busy, and it's good. Alright, let's get my pins out. Now, in this case, I want to iron these the same way. So I want to iron these fabrics towards the t-shirts. So I'll show you here. So in this case, this one's already done. So I want to make sure that I do these towards the t-shirts. And then flip it over and reinforce those seams. And since I've got the iron in that place anyways, I also am reinforcing the seams that I ironed before from those center blocks for the center t-shirts. And flip it over. There we are. And this is what I was talking about earlier with some t-shirts having vinyl designs. So if I were to touch any part of that t-shirt with the iron, the design itself will come off the t-shirt onto the iron. You don't want that. You do not want that at all. Okay, let's start adding on the rest of the sashing. So I am taking my fabric and I'm ironing it out before I put it on there, because that's going to get out all of my creases, my wrinkles, and allow me to put it on there evenly. Alright, let's see if I can do in one strip. I can. No. Oh, this one's just a little too big. Yep, it's just a little too big. So I need to cut some of these in half. And I've got an extra one down here. Yeah, see, prospecting channel, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, unfortunately, and that's why somebody asked me yesterday. They said, because I've only been streaming since February. Someone asked me yesterday, hey, so after you've been streaming for a while, do you think that you'll become a partner? I said, nope. I travel too much. Couldn't do it. Now, you could set up channels, because I don't stream on a regular basis. I tend to stream only whenever I'm home. Because when I'm at conventions, I can't stream. Well, I can live stream some, but I can't stream my sewing or my quilting. So, I'm a very haphazard streaming. So you don't have to stream on a regular basis in order to do it. So I'd say if you wanted to do it, do it. And then if you can't stream because you are deployed or you're someplace else, then you don't stream. And then you stream whenever you get back again. Okay, so I have 4 rows. If you look at the example on the left, you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips. So there's a strip at the top, a strip at the bottom, and then 3 in the middle. So I need 5 strips total. So there's number 1. So I'm just going to get all the strips prepared at this time. And I didn't point it out before, but I am now. This is the selvage. I trim the selvage off before I actually go in and pin it so that I can sew it. There's 2. Here's 3. And I'm out of the strips, so I need to cut some more. 3, so I'm going to move this so I can cut more strips. And get out my ruler and my fabric. There we go. And this, for any quilters out there, this is my Stripology ruler. It makes cutting go by a lot faster. Alright, let's line this up. Let me cut my 0. And my strips are 3.5 long, so 3.5. And I always go to 2 passes of it. 7, 10.5, 14, and 17.5, yes. Take that away. Now I know that's not going to be enough. The second t-shirt quilt that I have to make for this uses the same exact fabric for the sashing. So if I cut too many strips, it's not a problem. Oops. It did not go through all the way. Three, 4, 5, and that is scrap fabric. Alright, let's do that. And so I said I have 1, 2, 3, so I need 2 more. So let me cut one more piece in half. Now I do not make my my rows of sashing until I actually finish a row so I can measure it. Because if I could have just used a single piece without having to cut another piece in half and attach it, then that would be fine. But that is not the case this time. Okay, so here's 4. And 5. Now you notice how I am not ironing these strips. That's because I've got to iron the whole thing anyways whenever I open the seam after sewing it. Here we are, and here's 5. Let me take these pins out. So if you are watching this before I go to AwesomeCon, because I'm going to test out my live streaming, let me know if there is a vendor or an artist that you want me to show you. That you want me to walk around and show you as I'm there. 3. I'm just going to set these aside for right now. I'm going to go ahead and finish up sewing these rows. Now, if I am able to finish both quilts before 1 o'clock, I'll go ahead and I'll cut the backings on the stream as well. I have 6 for backings, so I have 4, that I've already made that are over there. And these 2 I'm making right now. So where's the 7th? It's already finished. That 7th is completely finished, start to finish. Because I am going to see the lady that commissioned them at AwesomeCon. So I want to show her one of the finished ones so she can see what it's going to look like. And I'm out of bobbin thread. Come on. Get a piece of hair. There we go. Always, if you see hair in or around your bobbin case, get rid of it. Because if you leave it there, it could travel up the thread and get sewn into your project. And you don't want that. Definitely do not want that hair into the project. Okay, let me take the pins out of here. Two. And I always count again just to make sure I've got the right number. 3, 4, and 5. Now, whenever I add these sashings, the rows of sashing onto the rows of t-shirts, how I add them on is row number 1, A at the top, gets sashing on the top and the bottom. The rest of them just get the sashing on the bottom. So in this case, this is row B. Toss all of that, set that aside. So row B just gets it along the bottom. And oops. Get rid of the hair that's on there. Alright, now I had to sew a half piece to my full piece whenever I did my rows. So I'm going to take this half piece and put it down first. Because I don't want the entire row to actually have a little bit of fabric on the end. It would not work. You don't want those seams close to the edges. So you use the little part of it first. I guess Jordan's awake. I heard so they greet her. Come on, there we go. It was being difficult because the pin kept getting stuck in this tube. Now, I do not ever want to sew over patches like this. So as you see, I left myself enough space at the top and the bottom. I had left an inch, so I have the 1/4 inch seam, and there's a little bit left over. Because if I were to sew over that area, it would either A, break the needle, or B, not have a good seam. And it would skip stitches. And I do not want to skip stitches. Now you notice how I'm rolling this as I move? By rolling it, it does 2 things. It keeps it nice and neat, and it's going to allow me to put it into the sewing machine better. Okay, get that. Now I'm going to trim this end off. Now this extra fabric here, oh, I guess I can't use it for sashing over there. Well, if I have to do 1.5 rows for the next quilt, I can use these for my halves. Because it's not really a half, it's more like a 1/4 that you need. Alright. And I'm going to set that one there. Alright, next. I already pulled the pins out, yes. Again, I'm sewing the seams towards the t-shirts.
No, there was no other screw on the line.
Okay, and I'm flipping it over and giving it just that extra. And then I'm also re-ironing the center block, the center t-shirt. Okay, now this is row A. So remember I said row A is going to get the sashing on the top and the bottom? Here we go. So let me grab another row and iron it. There we go. Now I don't think I actually pointed this out the first row that I did, or the first sashing I did, but I always start at the seams. I go seam, middle, end, and then put the pins in the middle just to give it some extra stability. So seam, middle, center. Alright. We've got that. In this case, I'm going seam, center. Seam. Now, even though, remember that I'm doing the top and the bottom, I'm still rolling it to keep it nice and neat. Because you'll see what I'm going to do in a moment on the other side. Middle, and then end. Okay, now let's do the other side. I'm just going to roll it out just a little bit. Let me iron another one. This is the short end, so I'm going to lay this one down first. Center, seam. Now this one I did a little bit backwards. I did the end, the center, and the seam. Sometimes I switch it, doesn't make a difference. As long as you get everything laid out nicely and lined up nicely, that's all that matters. Okay, I've got that. Alright, and let's trim the end and set it over with the other ends. Now, I'm going to set this one aside because I actually want to sew this one first because it's double-sided. So I actually have to take it and then sew around the other side. So I'm actually put that up there just to remind me to do that one first. Okay, let's take the pins out of this one. Now, it doesn't make a difference for the last two what the row numbers are because remember, only A gets it on the top and the bottom. The rest of the rows are going to get the sashing on the bottom. Now I do have to make sure that my row is facing the right direction. Okay. And then I said if I finish with these two quilts, I'll cut the backings. If I still have time, then I will work on the queen size t-shirt quilt. I only have one more row to do. Alright, and I said, oops, let me fold it over again. I said I wanted to sew this one first, so I need to free this one, because remember, I chain piece. So you always want to have something going in the machine if you can. I could have just gotten up and ironed that row at that point. I like to finish what's in the machine and run it to the end. See, and what this folding does is it makes sure that my row is not touching the ground so it doesn't get dirty, and it's nice and straight. So it automatically started unfolding and it fell right into my lap. Now, to iron the last row. Okay, on the back first. Okay, and then flip it over and just reinforce those seams on the front. Now, all of the other quilts I do, all of the pixelated video game comic book quilts I don't iron the back. I only iron the front. Oh, here's the example of the polo shirt that I've glued closed, and then it'll seal it along the top. Alright, last set of rows. Move that out. Now this last t-shirt here is starting to curl under, so that's why I'm using my fingers in order to straighten it out. And then I'm using my cutting mat to make sure it's flat. And then I'm going to put a few extra pins in this one, just to make sure it stays. Okay, so last trim. Alright, now I do want to sew the rows together. So this is row A. I believe this is D. Yep, this is row D. I believe row B is on the bottom here. Let's check. Yep, this is B. So I'm going to sew A and B together, because A and B are going to be sewn together next. The next step is to combine A to B and C to D. And then once my rows are sewn together, I can do the left and right sashing on the outside. Now for these quilts, I don't add any extra borders unless the person that commissions it asks for it, and of course it's a small extra fee for the extra work and the extra fabric. But most of the ones that I do don't have the extra amount. Alright, so now I'm going to flip this over and sew the other side. The seam on that one was starting to fold up, so all I did was lift it up and make sure it was good. Smooth it back out again. Now, because I'm sewing with the fabric on top and the t-shirt on the bottom, when I take the pins out, I'm going to double check the back side just to make sure, nope, nothing got folded in. So let me take my pins out and I can toss this over to be ironed. Go ahead and iron this one first. And the same thing, I want to iron it towards the t-shirts when I can. I'm just doing a quick iron on the back, and then I'll flip it over to the front and iron it nicer. There we go. And then let's trim the edges. If you're wondering what that pounding was, my husband walks heavy. That was his pounding feet. Now I'm going to take this and just set this aside because the row B is going to flip over onto row A. So let me sew another row so I can free A. So let me double check my seams. Make sure none of the t-shirt got caught. Good. Soleil must see a squirrel outside. She likes to run and chase and bark at squirrels. That's her. Come on, let me outside. Someone come over and let me outside. I want to go chase a squirrel. Oops. There we go. Alright, so let's iron now. With row A, I have sashing along the top and the bottom. So I'm going to iron both gently on the back side and then iron them both all the way when I flip it to the front side. Now the reason why I say gently onto the back side, because you're not going to get a perfect seam ironing it just along the back. But you're ironing it so that way whenever you do iron the front for that perfect seam, it's already laying basically in the direction you want it to go. There we go. Alright, let's flip it over.
Alright, come on, Glenn.
And now I'm ironing it towards the t-shirts and making those seams nice.
Come on, Glenn, let's go.
Flip around and do the other side. So again, this is number 7 in the t-shirt quilt commission for the 7 quilts that I have. Alright, let me show you my seams. So they are pointing towards the t-shirt. So just like whenever you do your blocks on the inside, ironing them towards the shirt gives it the extra stability. Oh, hi, Persimmon. How are you? Yeah, it's morning for me, afternoon for you. How is your Saturday going so far? Wet and blowy. Yeah, but you're not working. That's a good thing. Okay, now in this case, so t-shirts are stretchy. So I've mentioned a few times how much they stretch. So in this case, whenever I lay this out, there is a big old wonky right here. So what's happened in this case is and you can see it a little bit better like that, is whenever I sew this, it actually stretched the t-shirt out this way, but it's sewn in place. So I'm actually going to trim the t-shirt a little bit more. So I'm going to line up my blocks, and I'm trimming that big portion off right there. So then that way it's lined up a little bit better. It is gorgeous here. It is a beautiful, bright, sunny day. It's going to get hot today, and it's going to be super hot tomorrow, which is going to be awesome for Bark in the Park. Okay, so I've trimmed both sides. It has been so rainy here lately. I am so happy to have a nice, beautiful day. Okay, so now I'm laying out my rows. So I'm going to sew row B to row A. So I've got, now, this is the trick, is lining your sashing up to make sure it lines up. So I'm just going to lay my shirt like I normally would, but then I'm going to feel with my fingers to find out where those seams are. I'm going to try to line the seams up. I think they're lined up. So I'm going to fold this. Yep, and sure enough, seams are lined up. And then pin it in place. And then just like you did whenever you added on the sashing to the center t-shirts, move that t-shirt around so there's no puckers and it's nice and straight across. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the last one and fold them over whenever it's ready. Okay, now I do not want to start pinning this until I get this part lined up. Okay, so, oh, that's way off. I think right there. Yep, that's good. Now, you can't just peek under. You can't just fold it down and peek to make sure that it's good, because it just won't line up. You can't do it based on just that, but you can do it just as a double check. Make sure you use your fingers and check to make sure that it feels right, that it feels all lined up in there. Now, this last little bit doesn't make a difference. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to take this end to end, line this up, and then stretch it out. That sounds good. When you get a chance to type in talk, let me know what you're staining. I have not wood stained anything in a while. I think my deck really needs it. It needs a staining and a sealing. First, it needs a good power washing. Okay, so that's lined up. Now let me finish sewing these rows. I keep saying if I finish with these two quilt tops, I'll cut the backings, and then if I do that, I know I keep saying that, but I don't think I'm going to get them both completely finished, although I'm going to try. Oh, that's cool. And congratulations. See, I always appreciate handmade gifts versus store-bought ones. I'm sure they're gonna love it. Alright, so I did the gentle iron on the back. So now I'm going to do the better iron on the front. There we go. My iron was caught for some reason. There we are. So there's how my seams look. Yeah, no, it's, I've learned that one the hard way. Whenever I paint or stain or do anything, always wear an old shirt. There we go. Okay, so there's row D, so I'm going to set that aside because I need C before I do that. So let's sew A and B together. Yeah. You definitely don't want to dive right in. And then remember that, oh wait, this could ruin what I'm wearing. When that happens to me, I tend not to realize it until I've worn the shirt or the pants again. I wear them another time and I'm like, oh, I think I kind of ruined these. I'm just double checking my seams to make sure there's no skip stitches. Because the one I'm sewing through right now is a jersey. There we are. Do my soft iron on the back. And that, having gloves on while you stain is also a very important thing. You don't want to dye your fingers. Or you may want to. I just don't know many people that want to dye their fingers with wood dye, with stain. Alright, so that is row C. Here is row D. So row D is going to go into row C. Just like I did before. I'm going to lay it down first. Use my fingers to adjust it so those seams are lined up. And then I check, and it's good. shift it. Yeah, that's way off. I didn't even check it. Ooh. That is off in the wrong direction. There we are. I think that's lined up there. Yep. Now, sometimes whenever I feel the seams, especially if I iron the seam in a different direction, so for example, the jersey, I had to iron the seams toward the fabric and not towards the jersey because the jersey is so much thicker than a regular t-shirt. Oops, right here is my seam, so make sure I pin that. So I have to make sure sometimes whenever I iron them a different direction, whenever I'm feeling it, I'm feeling the wrong seam for lining it up. So that's why I always flip it and double check. Yeah, you don't want to get any stain on that either. It may make it look interesting. I've started to get into the habit of whenever I sit down to actually sew, I look in the entire space around me and make sure I have it all laid out right. Make sure I've got my water, my lip gloss, I've got everything within reach, my scissors, all the things. Because so many times I have started sewing or done something and I'm missing. I'm like, where's this? Where's that? No, I just had an idea of my quilting foot. I'm like, I wonder if it fell into here, if it was open, but no. It's not in my scissors. It's not in my pins. Oh, I've got to remember to bring this. I'm going to put that right there so I don't forget to bring it with me down to Maryland. Because I don't want, yeah, that would not have been good. Because I don't want to do like I did the last time where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do a pinning stream. And I forgot to cut the backing. No, I'm going to double check every single thing just to make sure I have it this time. As I get to this area right here, this is where the polo is, and I've glued it closed where the buttons were. So I'm going to make sure that I move a lot slower to make sure I get through all those layers. And I may even back it up a little bit and do some extra sewing on it. Yeah, it sounds like it's a big frame if, and I broke my needle. Alright, I've got to move slower. I was not moving slow enough. I was thinking, oh yeah, let me just hammer this baby into there. Yeah, no, that didn't work. Okay. Top stitch, quilting. You know what, I'm going to do the 80-12 sharps. Let's see if those go in there. You know what? You found it because I've lost mine. Yeah, but that's what happens. It's, you know how many times I lose things and I'm like, no clue how things get places. I just need to do a thorough cleaning of my studio again, and then I'm sure I'll find some things. Alright, let's try this one again. And the thread broke. Yeah, this is the only problem. I'm going through, it's starting to get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. Where everywhere else I'm going through 2. The dress shirts are actually a lot better than the polo shirts because I'm actually only going through 4 layers instead of 6. But especially once I actually quilt it, it'll be fine. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I've got, let me take the pins out of this one. I've got my rows all sewn together. So now I need to sew this one to that one. And normally I would put my scrap fabric into there, but I did some prep work and I've already put the next quilt's centerpieces together. So I can start work on my next quilt. Now, I could have done it at the same time as my first one. Probably not a good idea though, because I have some of the same numbers and letters. I don't want to mix the pieces between the quilts by accident. So now that all my rows are together and all I have to do is sew my AB to my CD, I don't have to worry about mixing up any of the, I'll put that over there, mixing up any of the rows or any of the panels. Okay, and again, I'm going to do a soft iron on the back side. Now, whenever I say soft iron, I mean I'm just kind of pressing the iron to the fabric just a little bit, just to try to get that fabric to lay the way that I want. I'm not getting in a nice sharp seam. That's what I do on the front side. I'm just pressing it just a little bit on the back side. And that'll actually make it easier on the front side for me to get a better seam, especially whenever I have a shirt that has that vinyl, because I want to make sure that I don't touch my iron to any of the vinyl designs. There. Now the nice thing about the way that I do these rows is there's no trimming now. I just have to sew the top to the bottom. And I'm just going to set it right on top of those t-shirts and not worry about it. Actually, you know what, let me move these t-shirts for the next one over here to the corner. That way I don't accidentally knock them over. Which I've done. Now for this case, just like with that jersey, the, oops, come on. The top of the polo does not want to fold down. So I cannot iron the fabric towards that. So I have to take that seam and iron it in the opposite direction. As much as I like that gray fabric with t-shirt quilts, I really like this fabric. This is, this color is the Mushroom Marble from Moda. I get a lot of neutral colors for backgrounds for my quilts. And that's what I was thinking. I would, this would be a nice neutral color for a background. Same thing as I did with the other rows. I'm using my fingers to line this up. And then when the lady who commissioned it came over and she picked it for a couple of quilts, I went, huh, that's actually not a bad idea. That probably would look good as sashing. I think I actually like it better than the gray, and I love gray for sashing. To make sure that this bottom part is all stretched out and laid out. I didn't think that was lined up. Because if the bottom part is crooked, you're not going to be able to line up the top part. Okay, that's good. That's a seam. I'm going to add 2 over here. Right. Set that aside. It's funny, it seems like I fly through the first couple of steps. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to be finished with this really fast. And then I get to these last few steps and they take a long time. I always forget that no, as you progress in the quilt, you're going to slow down a lot. There's a lot of extra sewing and lining up and ironing. Here. Alright. Oh, I automatically put the scrap fabric in. Let me put this back in here. I forgot that, oh yeah, no, I have another shirt. Another t-shirt quilt that I'm making. Alright, I'm putting it all the way over there, so I'm not tempted to use it. That's good. It's a good habit to get into to check the opposite side of your seams. Just because you know the part that you can see is good, but what about the part you can't see? So it's a good idea just to flip it and double check it. Make sure those seams look good on both sides. That's a good habit to be into for all sewing too. I know I'm friends with a cosplayer, and she said that a lot of times in prejudging, they'll flip your seams and they'll look on the inside just to see how you've sewn it and just to make sure that it looks good. Alright, so I've got the main body done. Now I have to do the right and the left sashings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to measure what my left and the right is. So it looks like it is 66, nope, 62, yeah, about 66 inches. So I have to do 2. I'm trying to think. Fantastic. Sorry, I'm doing math in my head. Can I get away with a half? So it's 42 plus 21, 63. No, and it's 66. So we have to have 2. Okay. So I have to sew two strips together for the left and for the right. So let me get out my cutter. Yeah. I will do all the maths in my head. Cut another set of strips. What are you making the flowers out of? Paper? Or fabric? Half, 7, 10 and a half, 14, 17 and a half. Oh yeah, burlap. I love burlap flowers. I have never made them, but I love the way they look. A few years ago, Michael's, when they had the big burlap craze, did a bunch of classes on burlap wreaths. And those are pretty cool. Okay, so let's sew 2 rows together. Again, I'm trimming my selvage off before I pin it. Oh, that's awesome. Someone asked me yesterday if I watch Game of Thrones because she wanted to talk to me about the next season that's not coming out for a while apparently. And my response was, I've read all the books, but whenever the shows came out, I've watched the first show. Now, I'm not an emotional person at all. So I don't cry a lot. So when the Games of Thrones show came out, I watched the first one, and whenever that first wolf died, I started bawling. I started crying, and I said, what the, I'm like, as someone that has read all the books, I'm like, there is absolutely no way that I could watch the series knowing what's gonna come if a freaking wolf dying makes me cry. Yeah. So, no, I haven't seen any of the shows. But I do enjoy George R. R. Martin. I do like reading the books. Yeah, see? It's like if you, especially if you've read the books, you know your favorite people are gonna die. You know. And they kill them in such brutal ways. Like, I remember whenever the Red Wedding episode aired, and it's all my friends would talk about is, oh my gosh, can you believe this? Can you believe this? Can you believe this? And I'm like, yeah, obviously you didn't read the books, or else you would have known that one was coming. Okay, let me iron my strips. Side over there. Now it does not matter which side you do first for the left and the right strips. You know, I still have to finish all my border paperwork, pay my crossing fee, pack, do all that other stuff. I have so much I still have to do. That border paperwork is a pain, but it is something that's super important that I've got to do to declare everything that I bring across. Yes, no, the iron is an Aliso Pro. So the Aliso Pro iron actually has a little system to where when you set it down, it's touch. So you can see it going up and down. So it's got a touch system, so when I let go, it actually pops up. It's meant to stay like this. It's actually more efficient and faster to iron with it. No, I love my Aliso. You know, it's funny, ever since I started streaming in February, I've been waiting for someone to ask me about that iron, and you're the first person to actually mention it. Yeah, it's super nice, and the steam is really good on it. I am all about moving as efficiently as I can. So the Aliso irons let me do that. I bought one years and years ago when they first were released, and the little up-down mechanism thing here broke after 2 months. So I'm like, nope, never buying them again. And then I went to a quilt show about a year and a half ago and talked to the company, and they said, yeah, we wish you would have contacted us because we found out in that first batch there were some faulty parts, and we were replacing them all for free. And I said, oh, it's too late now. I pitched it. So they said they promised that this batch was a lot better, and so I went ahead and bought another one, and it's been fine. Year and a half, not a problem. Yeah, no, it is super, super popular in the communities over here. It's just because they're so nice. There's a couple of different levels of it. This one is the gold, which is the pro model. No, it's a fantastic iron. If you haven't been to a quilt or sewing show in the States, you may not have heard about it. Because that's where they're really prevalent. I think you can get them overseas. I know you can get them in Canada. I know all of my sewing and quilt stores in this area carry them. I know a bunch in the States that carry them. But they're super nice. Scissors. Alright, so I've got this big old chunk of fabric on the end. So I'm going to throw it in the pile with the others. Alright, time to do the other side. Yeah, I'm really, really surprised that no one's asked me until now about my iron about, is it supposed to lay that way? And whenever we do sew-in days at my guild, I bring it with me. Because I'm so used to doing this, I can't use a regular iron and set it up. So I bring it with me and I set it up behind me and I tell everyone, yeah, feel free to use it. Just make sure you don't set it upright because it actually harms the iron. Whenever you leave it upright, it has issues with the steam and with the plate and with other things. So if you use it, please make sure you put it down. Of course, half the time, they say, oh yeah, but it's automatic nature for people to set it up. So I have to keep an eye on it, and whenever they set it up, I immediately have to turn around and put it back down again. Okay, so stores there probably don't carry them, but you can get them on Amazon. All right. How is your dollar compared to, how is the euro compared to the American dollar? Or the pound compared to the American dollar? Can you guys still get really good deals, or does it still suck, or does it suck now? There must be a dog walking in front of the house. They're not supposed to do that. Soleil gets upset. And what I'm doing here, the t-shirt's starting to curl underneath for this one, so I'm just straightening it out and then pulling it so it's actually laying nicely onto my cutting mat so that I can pin it. Now this one especially, after I finish sewing it, I really have to flip it to the other side to make sure that the t-shirt hasn't curled under again. Yeah. So I would wait for the pound to get better, for the dollar then, if you have to order it on Amazon. That's something if your local quilt shop, Persimmon, you said carries the Moda marble bias by the yard, you may want to check with them to see if they can get the irons as well, because they may be able to get it in for you if you want to get one cheaper than if you buy it online. Because I believe I can't think of the Notion company, what they call themselves. Oh, it's right here. It is United Notions. So United Notions is actually the parent company of Moda, and they have a ton of notions, and I believe they do carry the iron. So they may be able to get you one. I love it. It is fantastic. Alright, I've got both sides. Okay, let me set that aside. Now while I'm sewing, if you notice I'm kind of tilting my head and turning this way, I'm trying to look underneath to make sure that I'm catching the fabric as well. I'm catching the t-shirts under there as well as the fabric, because I don't want the t-shirts to curl underneath. And of course I'll double check the seam on the back side. Oh, okay. Well, see, even if they don't carry irons, they may be able to get you one. But no, the bias, if it's the Moda brand, if it's the Bella Solids, that's Moda. Because I don't know of any other fabric manufacturers that do the bias by the yard, except for Moda. I actually went online. Oh, I would love some tea. You can just shoot that through the computer. See, now you're going to be like Amber. Amber talks about chocolate and pie, and I'm like, now I want some cookies, now I want this. See, now I want some tea. I gotta go turn my kettle on. Now, in this case, because it's so big, I can actually take this side, flip it around, and feed it right in. So I can do the right side and then immediately flip over and do the left side. Yeah, just shoot it on through the computer. This side. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and cut the backing for the other quilts, for this one and the other ones that I have done, before I go on to finishing the last t-shirt quilt for the commission. That way you can see how I cut my backings and what I do. Hey, that's Canada Day. I will be camping that weekend. That's a fantastic day. Oh. That sucks. You know, it's prom season, so I'm seeing all of these posts everywhere of people doing prom dresses, and the only thing I can say is that do your due diligence. If you hire someone to do and I'm taking all of my stickers off and I'm double checking to make sure all of the pieces are in the right place. If you hire someone to make a dress or do something for you, look at some of the other stuff that they have made. Ask them to send you samples. If you can, look at the things in person, because there are some seamstresses out there that have no clue what they are doing. D2. Yay, I didn't mess this one up. Fantastic. Okay. Let's iron the edges. And again, I'm just doing a soft iron on the back. Come on. See, this is just a large lap. This is why I don't like doing queen and king size quilts. Because you see what a pain, when it gets big, what a pain it is to iron. Okay, let's do the other side. And then I will flip it over. There we are. Now flip it over and do the other side. Now this is the hard iron. So this is I'm getting my seam nice and straight. I'm making sure there's no fabric bunching in it. Yeah, I've never heard anyone else refer to it as the soft and the hard iron before. I don't know why that's the way that I think it. Okay, we flip around to the other side. And again, being careful, you're not touching any of the t-shirts that have vinyl on them, because you don't want to ruin your iron. There we go. And let me trim the edges. Okay, I'm going to move all of this over onto my ironing board so it's out of the way when I do the backing. Alright, so let's trim those edges. Now, I normally do black for my backings. That's just a nice, simple backing. I don't like doing lighter colors. I like doing darker colors. The reasoning being, A, you're not going to see the back at all. Oh, caramel latte. That sounds good. So you're not going to see the back at all. The second reason is I think darker colors show wear and tear and dirt less than lighter colors do. It's easier to get lighter colors dirty, and they tend to show wear and tear more. That's just my opinion though. So a lot of times I'll do the backing black, but I give the option, if you commission from me, I give you the option of what color would you like. And in this case, she decided black. So what I'm going to do is measure my quilt. So I'm going to do my backings now for the 5 that I have finished. So I need to measure the length and the width of each one, because each one's going to be a little different depending on how I cut the t-shirts. There we go. So I'm folding everything in half. So half lengthwise, half widthwise. There we go. Alright, so length is 64. Width is 51. So 51 by 64. Normal width for a bolt of fabric is between 42 and 43 inches. Mine's 52. So I can't use a regular bolt. So I'm going to use my extra wide stuff. So this is my extra wide fabric. It is 108 inches wide. What's this fabric? Oh. This fabric, that's the Robert Kaufman Kona. This is the Moda Bella. 60 inches. You know what? I'm going to use this one, though I don't have a whole bunch of extra waste. Because I said it was 52. I normally write this down. I don't know why I didn't write it down. 64 by 51. 51, right? Yep, 51. Okay, so I'm going to use the 60 inches as the 51. So I'm going to do my 64 inches. Now you notice how this fabric is longer than my cutting mat. This is how I do the extra wide backing. Now it's also at the very end of a bolt. This is a new bolt. There's a crooked seam here, so I'm going to add a couple of extra little bit for that. So this is where I'm going to start my measurements. And it's 64 inches long, so I'm going to cut it 69 inches just because I want that extra 5. Whenever I do quilts, I always add 5 inches onto there just for the extra bit around. And you'll see why whenever, if you watch my stream on next Wednesday when I do all the pinning when I'm in Maryland. Okay, so in this case, I'm doing it 65 inches. So here's the 30 mark. There's the 30 mark. Bring that down to right there. Now if I go a little bit longer, it's perfectly fine. Okay, now I'm going to try the 20 mark. 20. So here's 50 inches that I've already done. Okay, so all I have to do is cut it at the 19-inch mark now. So I'm going to cut it right here. So now I've got enough fabric here. I'm going to take it without shifting it. And so I'm not shifting it left or right. I'm just picking up the fabric and moving it down. There we go. Alright, and my extra long. Alright, so I'm cutting this at 19. And this 60-inch backing is it's extra wide, and it's meant for backing for quilts because it is extra wide. All right, so there's that. So here is the backing for that t-shirt quilt that I just finished. So I'm going to fold it up. And whenever I do pinning day, I always stack my quilts like this. So I've got the quilt that I've made and the backing on top. All right, let me go grab the other 4 that I had finished making before. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Here's the other 4 t-shirt quilts. All right, let's measure this one. I'm just going to shift that over there. So this one is let's make sure 69 inches long. So this one's a long one. By 50 inches wide. Okay, so I'm going to use the same 60 inch then. Okay, now 69 plus 5, I'm doing 74 inches is what I'm cutting this one at. So let me move this out of the way. To see where the other, put it up there. I had thought I had some more wide backing. Maybe I just ordered the one. Oh, no, I think it's right here. That is 108. Okay, that one's 108. This one was 120, I think. Oh, wait. Okay, so it's the same. Okay, so if I run out of the 60 wide, then I'll switch over to the 108 for the Kona, and then I'll dip into my Bella 108. Okay, so I said I'm doing this one 74 inches. So let's go, let's line it up over here. Let's go 30, 30. And this is another reason why I do 5 whole inches extra, because I'm not worried about being exact whenever I'm sliding it over. I'm just doing an estimate. 30, 30. So now we're at 60. And let me put this down. There we are. Okay, now we need to cut it at the 14-inch mark. There's some creases in there I was just smoothing out. There we go. And here's the backing for the second one. So there's 2. Next, okay, this one, the length is 65. Because it's 64 and a half, it's 32 and a half, so it'd be 65 inches long. by 46. Yeah, I'll still use the 60. Although, hold on, how long was it? 60? Yeah, I can't do the length for that way. So 65. Yeah, so I'll do 69 again. So this one's the same size as the first one. It's just it's not as wide. Okay. There's 30. Come on. 30 is right there. And 20 or 50. And then I cut at the 19. I'm just smoothing the fabric out underneath of it just to make sure it's a nice clean cut. I should have enough on the bolt for one, maybe two more quilts. Okay, there's that one. Alright, this one is 47 by 62. Okay, so I'm going to do this one 67 inches. Now, that is the normal size for my t-shirt quilts. The rest of them had designs on them where I had to cut the blocks a little big or a little wide. Okay, so 30. And I said I was cutting that one. Crap. Hate when I forget. $62. Okay, 67. Just making sure. Okay, so I'm going to do it on the 20. So that's 50. And then I can cut it on the 17. Okay, let me pull that off the rest. Now I have one left. Let's see if I can get that to fit. So my last one is 68, 69 inches by 48. No, 49. So I need to cut it 74 Let's see if this is 74. If not, I need to put it away and cut the 108. Okay, there's 30. Crossing my fingers. Crossing my fingers. Now, obviously, for the last one, I will have to dip into the 108. 30, 60. Look at that. It is enough. Yep, got enough. Now, I have 14, about 18 extra inches. I'm not going to leave that on there. I am going to make the cut. Nice. Thanks for reminding me. All right, so I'm cutting to the 74. So I'm cutting on the 14. Thanks for the reminder, television. All right, 14, there we go. So this I'm going to set aside and I'm going to use for binding. Because even though I've got my nice pretty Moda Marble binding that I picked up, I have, yeah, you can actually see it in the camera too. In this case, because I used a solid black backing. Oh, you know what? It depends on what I'm going to do for the borders. The borders probably are going to have to match the sashing. No, I'll do black. I may use the marble then. The black marble. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm going to use black marble for the sashing for all of them. Because I used marbles for all of the sashings. So the black is going to be for the binding. Okay, so I've got all those done. So let's work on my last t-shirt quilt until the end. Let's shift that aside so you can see what I'm doing. Thank you. Yeah, you will learn that I forgot a lot. I have to remeasure, recut, do all sorts of things because I forget. All right, what time is it? Oh, I still got 15 minutes. Fantastic. I have a phone meeting right after I finish streaming to decide if I'm going to go do the Nashville convention. Alright, so I can put those there and there. Alright, everything's all laid out. Great. Like, I knew I put it somewhere. It was hiding. Alright, this is row D. So again, just like you saw with the last one, I'm going to do a soft iron towards the shirts. And then a hard iron on the other side. And I am low on water. There we are. And we trim the edges. What's fancy? I just saw that. I'm thinking, what did I talk about? Now, obviously for the backing for this one, if I get this finished, which I'm hoping I do, I will have to use the 108 backing. So for the 108 backing, I will do the length for the 108, and then I'll cut it 5 extra inches for the width. Oh, going to Nashville. Yeah, no, just for another convention. That's what I do. As I travel to video game and comic book conventions to sell the quilts and sell the patterns. So I haven't decided if I'm doing the Nashville one yet. Because I would be sharing with somebody I have never shared with before. So we need to have a meeting to see, A, can he stand me, and B, can I stand him? And I have never done a show in Nashville, so it's not a market that I have tapped before, that I have displayed my quilts at. Alright, I'm going to have to recut this one. I don't know why. This one is really wide. But there's no design in it, so I'm just going to trim the shirt itself. That's much better. Now this t-shirt that I'm touching right now is super soft and super extra stretchy. So what probably happened is I probably cut it and then it's stretched in the meantime. Alright, D1. Yeah, this one's the right size. Alright, for a second there I thought, well, maybe I cut that center one too small, but nope, everything else fits. Yeah, so next weekend I will be in DC for AwesomeCon, and then the weekend after I'll be in the Philly area for Too Many Games. If I don't go to Nashville, the next convention after that is the one down the road here in Ontario in Hamilton at the end of July. I've got to look at my con schedule and make sure I've got everything updated on my site. Now here's the other part of that jersey. So I have to make sure that I go through all the way with this jersey. So after I finish sewing this, I'm going to flip the seam just to make sure. Yep, and sure enough, there's a big area right here. You can see I can put my finger through there. That it didn't do it. So, I need to redo that one. Let's use my scrap. There we are. It did it that time. Con Bravo is the one that's here in Hamilton. Hamilton's the city. The convention itself is called Con Bravo. It's a YouTube, Twitch kind of geek culture type convention. And I will do some streaming from the, obviously I'm not going to sew a quilt, But I will do some streaming from the conventions, just to show you what's going on, everything that's happening, all sorts of good things. Alright. I think this is going to be C3. Yep, there's C3. So make sure I do it the right way. Let me just lay that down, because I'm going to do C1 first. Yep, and there's C1. Oh, and this is quilt number 3. This is the last one that I need to put together out of the 7. Yeah, Con Bravo's a cool one. So it's in Ontario. It actually, it's a friend of mine that runs it. It's very well run. It's a really nice convention. And I always have a lot of fun. Finish sewing this one. I think I need another cup of coffee. I'm getting tired. Same thing with this one, because it's the jersey. I have to make sure that the stitches are good. I'm actually going to go a little slower. And it looks like it has skipped some stitches. I'm going to run it through again. I'm actually going to run this one through. I think my husband went to the gym, and I can hear Jord up in the shower, or else I text her and be like, make me some coffee, please. Alright, let's do this one again. So I've got a space here and here that needs redone. Alright, how's that? Okay, first space is good. Nope, second space is good. So if your machine ever skips stitches, there's a reason for it, and this reason is because of the jersey material. So if it skips stitches, if you know it's not because of one reason or another, like I don't want to change my needle to jersey just because of this one block. So I'll just run it a few times. this should be B3 right here, yep. The hardest part of a t-shirt quilt is cutting the actual blocks and figuring all that out. Everything else after that, for the assembly, it's pretty easy. As long as you try not to rush, because these t-shirts are super stretchy and they will move around. Okay, and here's one. In fact, this shirt right here is, I can tell just from the material, is an Everlast workout shirt. So the material is going to act differently than the other t-shirts. I don't want to put it on top of there because that's the next one I'm doing. Alright, let's take these out. And then I'll pin that last row together. Now, in this case, remember from the last quilt, I had this jersey material does not want to go in because it's so strong. Oh. The places it was skipping stitches was right around the embroidery areas. I didn't even realize that. So in this case, instead of ironing my seams towards the shirt, I'm ironing them towards the fabric. If a seam wants to go a certain way, don't fight it. Just keep going that way. Now, whenever I framed this to cut it, you notice how I did it right along the edges. Yeah, see, and that's a lot of normal quilters. Let me do it that way. Normal quilters use stabilizer. Either a washable or a firm stabilizer. You can also use this stuff, the Terreal Magic, which allows your shirts to become stiffer, almost a paper material. So the Terreal Magic allows you actually to put your fabric through a printer if you want. So there's a whole bunch of ways that you can do it. This is the way that I've always done it just because I didn't know any better. I didn't know about stabilizer whenever I first started making t-shirt quilts. Remember, I did not do a lot of research or do a lot of classes. I just kind of figured it out on my own. So, because of that, I just always have figured out how to do it without it. But because of that, my t-shirt quilts are always super soft and cuddly because there's no stabilizer or anything in there that makes it stiff. There's also a good book by Quilt in a Day for t-shirt quilts that talk about the different blocks you can turn t-shirt quilts into, the different stabilizers you can use, all sorts of things. I have never used it or done it, but I know many people that have. And they say it's a easy, nice book to follow along. Especially if you're making a t-shirt quilt for the first time. Yeah, it's because I started quilting 10 years ago. Yeah, almost 10 years ago now. So whenever I first started doing it, there wasn't a lot of things that I could find online in order to do it. But I'm sure it was out there, but that's just me. And I honestly don't know why I always just try to figure it out on my own. And that's whenever I started doing my patterns. For the longest time, everyone would ask me for patterns. Why can I not? Did I knock my scissors down? No, they're hiding over here. People would ask for my patterns all the time for the comic book and video game quilts. Well, see, it depends upon the batting in there. I use an 80/20 cotton poly batting that is actually super soft. So it all depends upon how they made it, who made it. No, my quilts are always soft and nice. They're meant to be slept with and loved. But it's, people would ask for my patterns, and my patterns are different than others. Because I just kind of block it out and then figure it out. So I didn't know how I could get it from my mind into other people's minds. And I finally figured it out almost 2 years ago and then launched the pattern line. Yeah, see, some quilts are stiff. A lot of art quilts are, the ones that are meant to hang on the wall. So, like I said, it all depends upon the batting that they've used. The batting is the middle stuff. So you have the top, and you saw me cut the backing. So you've got the top, you've got the backing, and then you've got, if you look at the patterns, if you go to my website, it's down below. I have all the patterns I have available there too, along with pictures of commissions I've done. So the batting is all dependent. So, oh, it's buried, isn't it? Yeah, there's tons and tons and tons of different types of batting. There's actually even bamboo batting. So it's all dependent upon the situation. The batting that I use, the 80/20, is not only is it soft, but it actually helps regulate your body temperature. So it actually keeps you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So you can use a quilt in the summertime as well. Alright, so I am back to adding on the sashing between the rows. So if you look at the example, there is the sashing along the top, sashing along the bottom, and then there's 3 rows of sashing in between. So you have 5 rows of sashing total. So what I do is batting, yeah, all the techie talk about batting. Row A, I put the sashing along the top and the bottom. And then the rest of them, I put the sashing just along the bottoms. So this is row C, so I'm going to put it along the bottom. Now, let's see. Can I put it with just a single row? Or do I have to sew some together? Nope. Alright, so this is why I saved all of my ends from the last quilt, because I'm going to use the ends. Alright, so I've got 1, 2, 3. I need at least 4 more strips, because I'm counting the left and the right too. So let me cut 4 more strips. See, and I never cut all the strips for a t-shirt quilt ahead of time, because it all depends upon how big it is. And I could do the math ahead of time. It's just easier this way because each t-shirt quilt is different. Alright, so I said I needed 4 more. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You don't want to make me a cup of coffee, do you, Jordan?
Not really.
Could you make me a cup of coffee?
Oh, a coffee.
The Tim Hortons French vanilla. If you open up the drawer,
Did you get more hot chocolate?
I did get you more hot chocolate. I got you a tin of the Tim Hortons hot chocolate.
Okay.
Well, because I couldn't find the K-cups of the ones you like.
They just disappeared.
Yeah, I couldn't find them anywhere. But I know you like the Tim Hortons, so I got you the big old jug of Tim Hortons too.
Okay, I'll make you one.
Thank
What
you,
size do you
honey.
want it?
Thank you.
But what size?
Just the 10.
Do you
The
want it strong?
No, just pop it in and push go. Okay, so this is a whole piece. And then the half piece from before. So trim your selvages. Okay, there's one. Now I need 5 of these. Oops, that's another side. Put that on top. I keep grabbing that one. There's 2. I keep forgetting to check up in my event list for bits and follows. Every now and then I remember, I'm like, okay, let me go. Okay, making sure there's nothing there. 2. This is going to be number 3. Now, you notice I kind of just like fold it over. Doesn't have to be neat because I got to iron the whole thing anyways. Four. And of course I miscounted. I'm going to have to cut some more. No, that's fine. One, 2, 3, 4. And 5. Yeah, so I'm going to have to cut at least 1, maybe 3 strips. Depends on how long this quilt ends up and how long the left and right sashings need to be cut. Now, on the outside, I call it a sashing and not a border. Sashing technically is the fabric that goes between all of the blocks. But that first outer border is the same exact size and same exact color as the interior sashing. So I call that sashing as well. And then if I were to put extra borders around the outside, those are what I would call the borders. Hi, Marley. Hi. Did you want to come and say hi to me? You're a good boy, aren't you?
Who?
Marley.
He's been down the whole time.
Yeah, but he hasn't come and sat right here. Do you want to sit in my lap for a moment and say hi to the camera? All right, let's sit right here. I want to take a drink of this coffee that George's bringing me. All right. Can I say hi to the camera? Oh, coffee. And you know I'm going to have to roll my shirt because I'm getting dog hair on it. Be careful of that basket. It's not very stable.
Yeah, no, I tripped over this box when I was doing laundry.
Sorry. I know, I got to clean in here. Let me say hi. Soleil, you want to come up too? Come on, up. Right here, up. Go on, up. You can jump up. Come here. Up. Come on. All right, fine. Here, I'll move him. Now, are you happy? There we go. Say hi. I know, you're very cute. You didn't want to be left out, did you? No. Oh, are you giving her kisses? You're so cute. Yes, you are. All right, you guys want to get down now? Okay, go get down. Good girl. All right, let's get down, Marley. Good boy. All right, roller. Because I do not want any dog hair on the fabric or on the quilts. There you go. Yes. No. They make me and a cup of coffee. Thank you again, Jordan.
No problem.
Cup of coffee and dogs. I'm happy. And I should finish. I'm not going to finish it in the stream today because I'm running out of time. But I should finish this one at least tonight after we go watch Wonder Woman. So that I will cut the backing and then I will pin all 6 t-shirt quilts next Wednesday. So the Wednesday stream will be... No, honey, you gotta move. I gotta move the chair. Good boy. The Wednesday stream will be... I think I said 6:30 to 8:30? Yeah, 6:30 to 8:30. It's probably going to take me a lot longer than that, but I wasn't sure of my schedule while I'm down there. So I will at least stream from 6:30 to 8:30 and show you how I pin my quilts, what I do, how you get the sandwich together is what it's called. So you have your front, your backing, and then your batting. And then I'll talk a little bit about the batting that I use. All the different tips and tricks. She's a good kid. I wasn't going to ask her to make me tea because all of my tea is loose leaf. And she's not a tea drinker, so she hasn't quite mastered tea yet. But she can stick a thing in the Keurig. Yeah, no, I don't, Persimmon, I don't expect you to pop in Wednesday night. That would be way too late for you, but I will have it up on YouTube. So I should have, I've been uploading Thursdays. I said at the very beginning, but I'll say it again. Thursdays, for some reason, there was some miscommunication between Twitch and my YouTube, so Thursday's stream didn't get uploaded to YouTube, so I started the upload again today, so it should actually be done, and I'll go through and edit it all, and add in the videos and everything else for the end card, after I finish the stream, after I have my meeting, of course. And then, after I get that all finished, and I know it's good, then I will do the one for today. I think the problem was that I uploaded Wednesday and Thursday at the same time. I tried to export both of them. Didn't work too well. Hi Ozzy, thank you very much. Alright, got no dog. Okay, so now, where is it? I've got my... Well, I'm sorry, I'm already married. So I've got my strips finished. So now I'm going to add my sashing onto the bottom that I just sewed. And then I'm going to iron these one at a time. Now, with these strips, I've got my half strip and I've got my whole strip. So I'm going to iron it and put it on in a way that I can put my half strip on first. So my half strip is going to go here first. And again, the reason why I do that is I don't want to take a little tiny small piece with the seam at the very edge. Oh, thank you very much for the follow, Television Box. I appreciate it. Did my little... I didn't even see it on there. Did my little thing pop up with the hearts around it? The graphic designer I used to do all that's pretty awesome. Just move that over. Now, and if you did not see when I did this before, I like to fold them over as I put the strips on because it allows it to go into the machine a lot better and easier. And then let's trim the edge. Now, even though I had the strips over here that I was using, the extra strips from the last quilt, I still have some extra. So at this point, if I don't use the extra for the left and the right, I'll put it in my scrap bin with all my fabrics. So the scrap bin does two things. Whenever I teach classes that require scraps, I just bring that and lay it out and let people have at it. The other thing I do is on my Patreon account, I have an option that you can get, and this is only for North America, unfortunately. You can get a pound of my scraps mailed to you once a month. So I actually go through that and pull out a pound of scraps. Just pick random things. I just grab a handful, stick it on a scale. Did I? Oh, I already did this one already. I'm like, where was I? So I never ever throw away scraps. You can always use them. For the class I'm teaching at Gen Con, I'm teaching the Catan mini quilt class, but I'm also teaching basic paper piecing. So I'm gonna I have a whole stack of old, you can't see it in the, yeah, you can't see in the camera. This stack of fabric right here is the ends of the character fabric that I use for pillows. So that stuff is going to come to that class so people can start sifting through that. And I'll bring my scrap bucket so they can start searching through the scrap bucket. So all of those will go into the bucket that I don't use today. Right, and this is row D. So remember, row A is the only one getting it on the top and the bottom. So row A is probably either this one or this one. So row D is only getting sashing on the bottom. And again, here's my seam, so I'm starting with the short piece first, pinning that onto there. Yeah, I was just thinking about the little slips of paper that I put on there, that I pin onto it, telling me where that piece of fabric's supposed to go in my layout. And I'm trying to think if I've ever done it any other way, and the very first quilt that I did, I think I did that. I think I laid it all out with the scraps of paper. I don't even know what gave me the idea. Okay, so this one is extra long, so it's getting some extra pins in it. Alright, I'm thinking I want to get through and at least attach the sashing to the rows, and then I'll be happy. That's a good starting point. The time for my phone meeting is a little loose. It's between 1 and 1:30. So if I run a few minutes over, it's not a big deal. Basically said I would call. If this works out, if I do Nashville, I am super excited to tell you who I'd be sharing with. It's, I can't say anything other than it's another handmade crafter. He's pretty freaking awesome. Awesome. Oh, and yes, you did. Unfortunately, I turned him down. Alright, and this one is row A. So this is the one that's going to get the sashing along the top and the bottom. So I'm actually going to set this aside because I want to do that one first. So I am going to use my scrap because I don't want that big thing of fabric in my machine if I'm not sitting here, or else my cat may do something to it. Oh, that's it. Just one of my t-shirt quilt skills. Yeah, that's... I'm trying to think what my husband tells people why he's with me. Sometimes he says he's with me because I'm an American and we're crazy. There's something else. He says, "Oh, I'm only with you for this." It's something stupid.
Dogs.
Oh, it is the dogs. Thank you, George. Yeah, so my husband's only with me for the dogs. He tells me all the time, if we ever get divorced, he gets the dogs.
Or he gets Fred or something like that.
Yeah, no, he's not getting any dogs. They're my dogs. That's funny that she remembers that.
I was thinking about it. I was listening to your conversation.
Yeah, well, I know you were listening. Oh, before I forget, there was something that you wanted me to do, George, for sewing, and I said we would do it on the stream.
My pants.
Do you want to do it right now? Because I'm going to stop streaming soon. So if we don't do it right now, I'm not doing it until I get back from DC and Philly. So I'm going to have an extra long stream today, because we're going to probably do some pants fixing for George. Oh, not those. She has a pair of pajama pants that she wants to wear to school, but they have a hole in them, and so she's not allowed to wear them to school. So she wants to fix them. So I told her we would only do it if we do it together on the stream. Alright, let me finish pinning this one, and then I can set all of these aside and finish them tonight after we see Wonder Woman. Alright, so again, this is the half piece, this is the whole piece. I'm starting with the half piece first. That'll just take me a moment. Was it just one pair or two pairs?
It's two, but one of them's in the washer, so.
Oh, yeah, then we can't fix that one.
We're kind of in a pickle when it comes to
That's
that.
okay, we can fix that whenever I get back from this trip.
I'll just hand sew it for now, if I wear them. And then...
Yep, because I taught you how to do that whip stitch, so you should be able to do a quick hand sew.
Yeah, this one is funkier than the other one, so.
Okay. I don't know if Jordan's sewing. She hasn't mastered any sewing things yet. In fact, this machine I bought for her. How old were you, Jordan?
I don't know. I did use it a bunch.
No, I think it was your 10th birthday.
I don't know.
Yeah, for her 10th birthday, I bought her a machine like this one. I don't know if it's this machine or not because I have 10 of those.
Yeah.
And she used it a couple of times, and that was it.
I tend to get on things and then get off them very quickly.
Yep.
Like
She went through my fabric stash the other day and said, I want this fabric, I want this fabric, I want this fabric. And I said, are you going to actually do something with this fabric?
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't do something with the fabric, she can't have it. Alright, let me shift this over so you can come
Oh
over
no,
here.
I could have ate their way.
Okay, so making sure.
I was just waiting here because I didn't want to,
Yeah, that's fine.
you know.
Almost done.
This is a t-shirt quilt.
Yep, this is the lady, remember the commissioned 7 t-shirt quilts?
Yeah.
This is the last one. So here's 5 more, and I actually cut the backings for them, and I showed everyone how we cut backings. So this is the absolute last one to do. Persimmon wants to know is, are you just going to sit and pet the fabric? Instead of doing something with it, will you just sit and pet it? Because sometimes she sits and pets fabric.
No, I like the look of it. It's like
Alright, come on, come here.
pictures on the internet.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'll still see. Look at this. They're men's pants, right? And they have a
Yeah.
hole there.
Okay, so
They're
these are the
pajama
pants that she
pants.
wants to wear. They're pajama pants, but because they're men's pants, you have this. And you can't wear this to school,
No.
so we're going to do 2 things. And this is actually, if anyone's watching the t-shirt quilts, if you're wondering how I did the polo shirts, how I sealed them, this is the same way. Alright.
It's just.
Oh,
like,
this is Jordan, if anyone hasn't seen Jordan before.
Hi. I was just kind of in a pickle because I have this English teacher that really likes all the different funky pants I wear. So.
Alright, where did I put
Oh, what's this?
the roll of fabric? What?
I haven't seen this.
Oh, this is brand new. So this is, I actually did this in my stream Wednesday?
Haven't been
Wednesday.
down.
This is the brand new, here you can look at this one because it's open, the new bias on a roll. So it's my binding for quilts.
Oh, it's funky.
Isn't that cool? And I got the whole set, so they gave me that nice little display case for free.
Okay. Put it back for you. What are you looking for?
I am looking for the this stuff, but it's already open.
Peel and stick.
Yeah, I'm not that. I actually already have some that's already open I want to use.
Is that all you're gonna do? That's so simple.
Oh no, and I'm going to sew it.
Oh, it's gonna be like that's like the simplest thing. My dad has a pair of
No,
these
it's not.
too.
It is very simple. And this is why I want to show it to you. That way, if you have any others you want to do, you can use the machine and fix them when I'm not here.
To be honest, I didn't think they were men's pants. So I got my dad a pair though.
That's okay.
Is
See,
it
because
this?
here's the container. Oh, thank you. There it is. I knew it was in here. See, because it was sitting in here, but it fell out. This stuff. Now, the difference between this stuff. This is...
Sticky. It's like double-sided tape.
Yeah, it's just basically peel and stick. You press on. This is iron on. The iron on's going to stay better. Because the press on has got...
It's like when you glue things. Tape holds things well, but glue holds it better.
Exactly. So the difference... Okay, now we're going to start reading. So for persimmons in the UK. So when you say pants, you have to say trousers.
Oh.
Yeah, so Persimmon lives in the UK. She picked me up about a week ago now.
They're funky pants though, eh?
Mhm.
They say get a life and they have the...
They're nice. All right, so for those at home or on YouTube that are watching, the difference between this and the press-on. This is, I don't have the actual thing, but this is like a miniature applique paper where you've actually got both sides, but you're not peeling it off again. It's a permanent press you do with the iron, and you do it no steam. So I just flip the steam off. The other stuff was the sticky stuff. I don't want to use the other stuff because it's going to gum up my needles. So this is the stuff that you want to use. So all you do is you kind of press it in here, you measure it, and then trim it.
It's like tape
Okay.
and glue mixed
Now,
together.
It is. So I'm going to do 2 strips like this.
Does it hold better that way?
Nope, I'll show you why in a second. Now, I've got to show it here because you can't see the ironing board. Yep. And an easy thing. So, the first one, what I'm doing is I'm just setting it just on the inside. So I'm putting
That's
it
the
right
outside?
here on the outside. Okay?
On the outside.
On the very outside. Not outside of here. When I say outside, inside, so this here I consider outside. So it's going to
okay.
be inside of it.
Put
But
on the
whenever you
outside.
do sewing, you have to think about the outside is the edge. The inside is up here. Okay, so the edge. Is that better if I say edge?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, and the way you said it too, I was like, Tony, no, that's wrong with the pants.
See, this is why I like to have Jord do streams with me sometimes, because she causes me to explain things in a better way.
Cause I get so confused.
Yep.
I ask so many questions in science all the time too, when we're doing projects and stuff, and it's
Mhm.
like, it's in the instructions. And I'm like, but it doesn't make sense in the instructions.
Now, it does not matter which side you put this tape in here on.
Yep.
Because it is sticky on both sides. Unlike with the applique paper, where you've got to put it there and you got to peel the paper off. This is basically the same thing, but there's no paper. Okay? Now, you want to have heat on there for at least 10 to 15 seconds. And see how I'm constantly moving the iron a little bit? So what this is doing is it's preventing me burning this fabric by constantly moving this, but I'm never pulling it away from where I'm ironing.
I love men's pajama pants.
And Persimmon says they're cool looking.
Yeah, I got them
Where'd you get them? Online?
Kohl's online.
Nice. I
Alright.
love Kohl's.
Yeah.
There's no Kohl's in Canada. So we either have to do them when we're in the States or online. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is we have a nice seal here.
Yeah.
You can see it on there. It's nicely sealed. But it's not done yet. I'm going to flip the pants inside out. See? Look at you.
I gotta work my yard.
Okay. So now we're going to flip these pants inside out.
Look at those pockets.
And now this area right here, we're going to do it right there.
Otherwise, they just like rip eventually.
Mm-hmm. Now we are going to put a seam on here as well.
Yeah.
Now for those polos, if you notice the polo shirts that I was putting into the t-shirt quilts, there's no seams down there because when I do the actual quilting, I'll go over it and I'll hold it in place. Okay. The other one is right here. So same thing.
My hair's going blonde.
Alright, so is off-white okay for here, or do you want me to change it to match it and have it gray?
It's fine. It's pajama pants.
Yeah, I figured it'd be
That I'm
okay,
gonna wear.
but if you really wanted it to match,
No.
I could change it to gray thread.
No. I just have this teacher who's very interested in the different types of pants I wear. She was my homeroom last year. Last semester, sorry.
Yeah, now Jord's in high school. I actually let her. Someone has been listening. Yeah. See, she listens whenever I describe this to her because she wants to be able to do stuff whenever I'm not here when I'm traveling. So now she wasn't allowed to wear pajama pants last year, but now she is in high school. She's allowed to wear pajama pants to school. She can wear wherever she wants to school.
That's what I used to do. Oh,
As long as it's not revealing.
No, that's why I got you to fix my pants.
Yep.
How would I wear pajama pants that are revealing?
Yep. Oh, I know.
How do you? What are pajama pants? Are revealing?
No, but you know what I mean. Revealing clothes.
No, because just like
I know, and that's not you.
the lowest shirt I have to go. It's pretty low.
Okay, now let me change my foot. It's got a 1/4 inch guide foot on there right now. I'm gonna change it to a J foot. So,
Sounds familiar.
see how it says J in there?
Whoa.
Yeah. J foot.
Oh, I used to last year.
Do you wanna do this?
Not really.
You don't wanna sew?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Alright, so with pajama pants, I have to make sure I take the bottom and I sew it like this because I don't want to sew through this other extra layer. And I also don't want to sew all of the crap up here, so I'm going to move it all the way down until there's no resistance.
It's hot here too. They're nice and thin. Perfect timing. So last year I'd wear, either I'd put another pants over top of the pajama pants. I didn't do it often because, it's really hot. Or I would bring them in my bag and change when I got to school. So it was like a lot of work for it.
And I'm backing up. Why do I back up the thread?
Because you went too far?
Nope.
Because it's not, I don't know.
To secure it.
Ah.
Because if I didn't hit the backup button and secure it a few times, it would come undone easier. Okay, and that's it. Now, I'm not going... you see what happened?
It got crunched.
It didn't catch until all the way down there. So I've got to resew it. And that happens sometimes. Because, Twitch, what did I forget to do?
What did you forget to do?
What am I sewing? Am I sewing cotton anymore?
No.
What is this? What am I sewing?
I don't know.
Do you know what this is called, this material?
Nope.
Jersey stretch material.
Oh.
So what's happening with it as I'm sewing?
It's stretching.
So can I use the same needle as I used for all of the cotton t-shirts?
No.
No.
That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That's a lot of needles. Jeez
It is.
Louise. 5 stretch needles.
That's what I need. That one right there you just touched. The one that say Jersey stretch. Wait, hold on.
That says 5 stretch. Embroidery.
Jersey.
It's 5 stretch.
Jersey. Right there.
Well,
Let me see.
just pull the back one out and I'll put the other ones back in.
We'll have to look at the sizes. So there's an 80-20 and there's a 90-14. I want the 90-14.
Got it.
Do you remember me telling you about the lady from Schmetz that gave me a sample of every single needle they have for the chrome so I could try them out?
I think so.
That's why there's all those needles in there. And that's why I will never go back to any other needle but the Schmetz Chrome. I love them so much. They don't gum. They're amazing. There we are.
What are other things that I wanted to do and then I stopped after a few weeks? Painting.
Perler beads.
Yeah. Painting I do it in sessions too,
Okay,
right?
so let's try this again.
Like, I'll go for a few weeks and then stop. And then go for another few weeks.
Okay, now let me make sure my bottom is moved away. No, it's still having issues.
It's just these pants, eh?
It's the pants. So that means I've just got to go over it a few times.
Drawing, I've done it. Reading,
And let's switch it because it looks like it takes a while to catch in the beginning and then it works. So let's go the opposite way. Now you see how some of the places it picked up and some of it didn't?
Yeah.
So I just got to keep on going over and over it.
Okie dokie.
Now, if I had time, I would email the person at Smets and say, I'm doing something wrong. What am I doing wrong? And ask her to give me the right needle. Nope, that one didn't even go at all. See, but this is why we glued it first.
Yeah, otherwise it would have been a pain.
Oh my gosh.
What'd you do wrong?
You know what the problem is? Why it's not catching at all now?
No.
Look right here. This thread's supposed to be going through here. It somehow came loose. So it wasn't threaded properly.
That's craziness. All this
Alright, I give up.
Alrighty.
But you can still use it because it's glued.
Yep. Is there specific washing instructions or that I'll probably ignore?
I'm going to change. I'm gonna actually. No, same thing. It actually. That's the reason why I use that stuff is because you can wash and dry it perfectly fine.
Okay, I was making sure because you
Nope.
know.
No extra things. Alright, so let me try this again one more time. I redid the bobbin. Rethreaded the bobbin.
Coffee's not hot anymore.
It's lukewarm, it's fine. I had some when it was hot. There we go.
Did it do it?
Yep.
Yay!
So when in doubt, go back and forth a couple of times.
Woo.
There you go.
Oh, you gotta do the back too.
And now, let's clean up the back a little bit.
I don't know, it looks pretty good, Tony.
No, because you don't want all those extra threads,
Yeah, I know.
because it'll catch. See, if you can actually look at the back and see that they used a serger to sew this.
Is that good or no?
But see how it has all that? A serger just means it's multiple needles and
Nice.
multiple threads at the same time.
That's craziness.
I don't have a serger anymore, or else I would have used one. There you go. Alright, all sealed up.
I can't wear these
Yep.
today though.
Nope, and Persimmon says you can now wear them without blushing. I like that. Without any
I
blushes.
didn't even wear them. I had them.
And I'm going to take this needle off of here before. Alright, so, look. You see how there's a bunch of extra stuff on there?
Yeah.
That's from the glue in there. The nice thing about the chromes,
It just comes off.
it comes right off. Regular needles, it'll stick on there and you'll have issues. The chromes come right off. They're super nice.
And
Alright, so that's today's stream. I will finish up that t-shirt quilt tonight after we go see Wonder Woman, which I'm super excited about seeing. And then Wednesday, I will do the pinning stream for pinning all those together. I know, you're super happy now, aren't you?
oh, look how tall they are.
Oh, how long they are? Yeah, they're really long. And then next Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, one or all three, I will do some test streams from AwesomeCon to see if I can live stream from my phone. And then if it works, then I will live stream from Too Many Games and show you how to do my setup. So, thanks, Persimmon. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me while I do this. It makes it go so much faster and better. So, until Wednesday, I will see you later.